to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I'll give the roll call from the city clerk, please.
Councilmember Brudnicki. Councilmember Iyer. Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Nixon.
Here.
Councilmember Hope.
Here.
Councilmember Okalander.
Here.
Councilmember Walker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All righty, thank you. Under additions and corrections to the agenda, please add payroll in the amount of $44,309.20 for the week of 10/20, and payroll for the week of November 5th to the amount of $105,603.37, and claims totaling the amount of $321,756.75. Under scheduled items for the administrator's report, please add a TIB grant opportunity. And then under right below the closed session, which is different than an executive session, we have an executive session for 20 minutes on performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 4230-110 subset 1 subset B. With that said, are there any council members who wish to speak this evening? So Amy's hand, is there anyone else? Okay. All right, with that, do we have a motion to adopt tonight's council agenda?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, next item up is a consent agenda for payroll and claims listed, as well as council and committee minutes of the whole for October 17th. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, comments from the audience. Is there anyone this evening that wishes to address council? We ask you just come up, state your name and address for the record, in case you need to follow up, and you've got 20 minutes. Yes.
Thank you. Laura Smith, 17626 315th Portland East. And first, thank you all for serving our city. I'm Laura Smith, Director of the Snoqualmie Valley Community Network. Tonight, I wanted to share with you a story from a local youth who has been personally impacted by the work of the Snoqualmie Valley Community Network, to build on some of the past presentations that I've done for you. The story is from a former Riverview Youth Council member named Ellie. Around 8th grade, we had some changes in our family. My dad worked quite a bit, and my mom started going back to school on top of her full-time job. I tried to step up and help fill in the gaps, but eventually I got tired of trying to hold our family together. So I gave up and started to really struggle. My parents couldn't understand me, so we fought all the time. My grades started going downhill, and I eventually started fighting with my friends. I just wanted to be left alone. I cried a lot and tried to consume my mind by reading the same books over and over. The more that I isolated myself, the worse things got. Around that time, my friend invited me to an ice cream social to learn more about the Riverview Youth Council. I learned that it was a great place to be surrounded by mentors and awesome kids my own age who cared about other people and wanted to make our community better. A few months into going to the meetings, I went to the Be the Change Youth Leadership Conference. I attended a presentation by two speakers from the Riverview Youth Council on youth suicide prevention. I pretended not to pay attention during the presentation. I didn't raise my hand, participate in any of the games, or talk to the presenters afterwards. The whole time I was thinking, this can't apply to me. This doesn't apply to me. I don't want this to apply to me. I was terrified to realize that what I was feeling lined up with their description of depression and suicidal tendencies. I was so scared that I went home and I called a close family friend and shared with her how I had been struggling and told her that I needed help. I'm so grateful to Maddie. She listened to me and encouraged me to tell my parents. I told her I couldn't do it. I was ashamed to tell them, and I didn't want to let them down. So Maddie went with me and ended up telling them for me. They were really shocked and concerned for me. We quickly agreed that I would start getting support from a counselor, and over the next few months, my counselor helped me work through my feelings of being misunderstood and feeling like I was being ignored by my family. I started to feel stronger and more confident and was able to heal my broken relationship with my mom. Soon after, I had the opportunity to be trained to teach suicide prevention to others. If anyone could understand how others with depression were feeling, it was me. I went on to train more than 30 classes at Tolton Cedar Crest. After every presentation, we would receive emails from kids, teachers, and parents so grateful for what they had learned, and like me, they had realized that they needed some help. This training saves lives. It gives teams the information to recognize warning signs in others, but to also recognize them in themselves and encourage they need to seek help. If it wasn't for the work of the Snoqualmie Valley Community Network and the Riverview Youth Council, I wouldn't be the person I am today, and I wouldn't have had the chance to educate so many youth in suicide prevention. Today, I am confident in who I am. I know I will impact the world for good, and I look forward to the next season of my life. I went from a shy, depressed girl I went from a shy, depressed kid to a girl fully prepared for a new set of adventures, all thanks to the Riverview Youth Council. Thank you for your support of the Snoqualmie Valley Community Network.
Thank you. All right, anyone else wishing to address council this evening? Okay, I have three things. I'll start off with the good one first. For those that came out on the 28th for the grand opening of the Big Rock Ball Field, I asked staff to create a little collage for each of us. So I had that, thanks to Boyd and his team for creating that. So I want to thank all of you for supporting that project. So I will pass these out to all of you. Matthew, I go very well. See that? Okay, the second item I have is a bit of sad news. I believe all of you received an email about this one. But we lost a planning commissioner last week. Dick Wing passed away. He was a great asset to this community, and he did a lot to help us out over the many years of his involvement within this community. So he's a big loss for us within the city. So I'm not sure when the memorial service for him will happen, but I just want to thank all of you for the thoughts and prayers you had for Dick and his family over the last few days. Lastly, Sound Cities has its nominations coming up, and this is a great way for council to stay involved regionally. I happen to sit on the Sound Cities board as well as the executive board. I can tell you that our involvement and our engagement does make a difference. So if you would like to get involved, this is the best year to be able to do this, because there are 45 elected officials throughout the region that are retiring, and there's a huge gap within the boards and commissions from experience level. So if you're sticking around, you want to stay involved, this is your opportunity, and you're going to have a great chance of getting on at least one and potentially two of them. So really think about which ones you want to join. The deadline is November 10th. You have to fill out an application. I believe all of you received it in your email. If you did not, please see Jody and she'll get you an email. I just want you to fill out your name, the city, and what your preference is on choices. I would at least come up with the top 4. That way is when the nominating committee works on this process, they can help pair you up as best they can. So really talk through it among yourselves. If you want to give me a call and ask you, because I've served on most of these, as well as Amy, and Jason served on quite a few, let us know. We'd like to help you with an explanation of it. You could also call Sound Cities as well, and they can help you understand what the commitment would look like. For some, like the Regional Transit Committee, it is in Seattle. Some of the regional law justice is down in Renton. Others are on the east side. So if there's some concerns you have with some committees, just let us know. We want to help you out, because this is our opportunity to really stay involved and stay engaged. And as the SCA says so nicely, 38 cities, 1 million people, and one voice. It is our chance to really get involved. This is our year, from Duvall's perspective, to really step up and play, because it's amazing how many seasoned folks from multiple cities around the region are not coming back. They just decided to retire, and this is a great opportunity for us to move forward with that. So, Amy.
If I can just add to that, I do serve on the nominating committee, so we review every single application that comes in from every single city. And a key reminder to council is that if they receive 2 applications from 2 different people for the same committee, they're automatically thrown out because they will not get involved in making decisions in between cities on who should serve on what. The other thing is that for any candidates that end up successful on Tuesday evening, if they have a clear result, don't hesitate to reach out to council members or SCA and ask more questions about committees you might be serving on, be interested in serving on, because while brand new council members are not likely to get a full seat, with this many seats open, there are good opportunities to become alternates, and alternates move up to members, and it's a great way to get introduced to some of those regional boards and committees. So the timing of this always kind of stinks because it's around election time, but there's no way around that. But it does provide an opportunity for those that are clearly newly elected to participate in the process.
Okay, perfect. Any questions on any of the items I brought up tonight? And thanks again for everybody that came out for trick-or-treating. It's a big event. Corella Duvall was there. My personal favorite story was her stuffed dog that other dogs thought was a real dog, including one that actually came up and sniffed its backside. So it's one of those things you just have to be there to witness it. And so, but other than that, again, thanks for the support on the ball field. It was a great event that day. I think a lot of people in the community are really enjoying this new facility, so thank you for your support. So with that, Ms. Ockerlander, you're up.
Well, the mayor talked about the committees, so the only thing, other thing I had to say is it was nice to attend the Big Rock Ball Fields grand opening. The fields are gorgeous. There was a great turnout. The weather was awesome. And I think it's pretty clear that the community is happy with the investment that we made. And it was one of those tough calls that many of us waited until we had all the information at hand before making the decision. And it was a tough decision to put such a large levy out to the voters, having some unsureness about where revenue would come from. But as we've seen interest with new groups and what have you, I think it's pretty clear that the council and the community made a good decision. And I'm really excited to see the potential future of that field, and especially if we can get those bathrooms moved along in the next 6 months to a year and concession stand, how much more value it will continue to add to the community.
Alrighty. With that, Mr. Morton, you have 2 items for us this evening.
No, I have at least one item. The other one is Mr. Benson, I believe. We were handed out, hopefully, the last council meeting out of the class in Chelan, the draft of the request for proposals for the main stage sponsorship that was modeled off of several jurisdictions that do something very similar, and ran that through some guidance to make sure it was legally testable at this point. So I'm hoping to get feedback from council no later than this Friday. I've also issued the RFP for review to the Duvall Cultural Commission, asked them for the same feedback, so we can get moving ahead on this and publish an RFP and see what kind of responses we get. Again, the financial commitment ostensibly is over. It ends December 31st per the agreement, and I'd like to have something moving into 2018 so we don't lose an opportunity to continue to get that revenue for the DCC and the community off of the main stage. I think the main street, unless you have any specific questions for me.
We have the TIB, Transportation Improvement Board grant opportunity. Is that you, Mr. Benson?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Board President of the Works. We have received notification that the Transportation Improvement Board's Green Light Washington grant is available to the city of Duvall. This is a fully funded pass-through grant with zero match dollars, and what it will effectively do is switch out all of our existing sodium and other high-pressure lights to LED. One of the benefits of the LED lights is reduced energy consumption, potentially 30 to 40% reduction in energy, lower maintenance costs, and the light is able to be directed. So as you see on Main Street, you don't see a lot of light bleed from those lights. We're very excited about this. This came in the mail last week. The actual signature, they're requesting that the council consider authorizing the mayor to approve this grant. It's for $183,000. It's based on a rough count of our infrastructure and lighting, existing lighting. If there are more lights to be replaced, then we can ask for additional funds. If there are fewer lights to be replaced, we get a reduction in funds. So staff recommended this by the council to authorize the mayor to enter into this grant.
Okay. Is this something that you'd like council to take action on, Mr. Benson, or is it just a head nod at this point?
Oh, we appreciate council taking action, but if it's something that should wait until November 21st, that's okay as well. It's completely up to council. Once again, there's no grant match. We only staff cost is making sure that we process the paperwork correctly, and it'd be a budget amendment through finance. because we'd be paying for the infrastructure and being reimbursed as we go. We felt like replacement program. We'd be up to you folks.
Maybe it says in the grant, in the paperwork you sent, but does it change what our monthly payment is per light in the city?
It's a very good question. That was brought up today by senior staff and administration. We don't have that answer yet. We know that there is a net savings to the utility company with respect to energy, but they are one of the components of this program. We're not exactly sure how this money came about. This is something that we learned 2 years ago when we were automatically entered in the grant review process. So we will be checking with Tucson Energy to see if the existing $10 per light per month will be reduced. And I think there's great potential for that if we have lights. We'll follow up on that.
Would we install these ourselves, or is it a third party company?
Third party. So it's externally funded through TIB. PSC's contractor would come in, do the work. They bill the city with a budget amendment. We send those invoices on to Transportation Improvement Board, and they will pay for the work. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, go ahead, Michelle. Any other questions?
I had heard from someone in the community that there were some lights that were too bright in their community. So can you tell me more about?
Yes, we have pretty high standards for lighting. You'll see that most new developments have ample lighting for the roadway and pedestrian network. And we have that lights. Some lights you can shield, globe lights you cannot. With the LED lights, so you notice on Main Street, they eliminate the roadway, but if you walk, next time you walk down there, they don't eliminate the vegetation nearby, so it's actually a direct light. So this would help with that issue. In other cases, we've asked for shields. We've done some of that work, and even some of the inside of the globes have been painted. It doesn't work really well, so we think this will actually help improve that issue. And this actually would come in a cooler light. It's actually a legacy for Mr. Dick Wynn. He didn't like the LED lights, and we worked with PSC into a light instead of it's a 4,000 Kelvin. Kelvin's a measurement of temperature, so the 4,000 Kelvin bright blue is 3,000 Kelvin, which is kind of cool. So it's a more warm light. So you'll see on in residential developments now, the glow lights, luminaires are a little softer light than what you see on Main Street, which is like the overhead bright lights. And this will continue on with that approach. Softer light in residential areas, you'll see the brighter light still on roadways.
Okay. How does council feel about putting this on consent agenda for the 21st? Okay, all right, let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Benson, I believe you have a quick administrative roll update.
Yes, sir. So Main Street, you'll notice the median curbs are going in. That's the last step before we can actually stripe the roadway. Landscape plantings will be going in, been inspected by the planning department. Those are going in pretty rapidly. You notice that the trees are actually pretty good size, so we're very excited about that. What you see in the next week, all the concrete is done. So you'll see the remainder of the median island curbs, which are just completed today. You'll see that a textured pattern concrete installed in the nose of those median curb landscape areas. You'll see that material come out and replace with landscape. And then you'll see the striping. Those are the next step on the project. Otherwise, we're getting close. I mean, it's substantially complete. The new plaza areas down at 143rd are in. They're very striking. The pavement is very dark. It was one of the architectural elements that was proposed by KPG and approved. But it's kind of interesting. They have duck prints and other prints in there. So it's kind of a nice visual contrast to the rest of the project. And then for the ball field, we believe the grand opening went very well. As of now, they're still doing construction work at the site during the work hours, so it still is closed during the work day. We're trying to keep that pushed out on social media. It's come out in a couple different sources. It is open at night. If it's reserved by a user, reserved users have preference. And as we have kind of documented in a draft use policy, if the lights aren't paid for by some reserved field, they're kept off. Otherwise, we haven't seen really any issues. When it first opened, we had people bring dogs and bikes and the rest, but
users that understand you can't have those things on the field, politely ask them not to do it. And we haven't seen really much food or other impacts on the field, so we're very excited about that. The Public Works crew is checking every morning, taking care of the leaves, and we did receive the small tractor to pull the grooming equipment, so we're completely equipped up for the maintenance work. Mayor Will asked about when the project will complete. It won't be totally complete until early next year, but it'll be substantially complete. There's still a few days of concrete to be placed, and the plaza will be complete, and then that forward area is open, and then paving for the parking lot. Otherwise, most everything is in, so you'll see those coming in the next few weeks. Any questions about Main Street or the golf ball field that I can answer?
Would you say, Boyd, that the ball field is nicer than the stadium up at Cedar Crest High School?
Definitely. Yes, sir. And I will say, we have people come up and it's like, holy smokes, why isn't this in my community? So it's exceeded our expectation. Mayor Will had some nice things to say about the contractor. You get a contractor that does the bare minimum, it's the bare minimum. But some of those small change orders you've approved, like the strip drains for the restrooms and the rest, make this site amazing. So it's much nicer than, where do you go?
He's coming back.
He's coming back, but it is a very nice complex, so thank you for the support on that. Any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have ourselves 3 presentations tonight. The first one is Acres of Diamonds. And they have a short presentation for council. Followed by that is the King County Assessor's Office. And followed by that is the Riverview School District regarding the school tax. So, yes, please, I need somebody up the microphone so we can hear you.
We have some.
Yes, so why don't you bring those things up closer?
Okay. Yeah. Have lovely assistants.
You can move the chairs out of the way if you want.
Thank you so much for having us tonight. Maybe I'll introduce who's helping me. I'll be doing the presentation. I'm Jen Paddock, the Executive Director at Acres of Diamonds. But we've also got with us tonight over there, that's Phil Frisk. He's our architect on the project. He has a lot of experience in campus planning for nonprofits, so he's been very helpful for us. That's Val. Everybody knows Val. She works at Acres of Diamonds, which is such a gift for us. Steve Duvall is right here. He's our general contractor on the project. He has been donating his time helping us put this together. And then Rod Johnson is the chair of our building committee. So these are the folks that are here. But I will be just doing, I think I've got about 10 minutes, is that right? To just kind of briefly present. So thanks for having us. My hope tonight is just to begin a conversation with you and ask you to consider exploring ways that we might be able to work together. I have seen over the years how good Duvall is for Acres of Diamonds, and I really believe that Acres of Diamonds is also really good for Duvall. So I think it would be really fun for us to just consider ways that we can continue to help each other accomplish our goals. I know one of the things that Acres does that I'm pretty excited about is we provide professional positions right here in town, which is great. We also provide a stable workforce. A lot of our women work those service positions. And eventually, when our project comes to fruition, we will provide daycare for low-income families, which is a huge need here in the Valley. So there's a lot of ways we can help you guys out, and I already know you guys have helped us out in amazing ways. I thought I might just briefly tell you a little bit about Acres of Diamonds. I won't ask you to raise your hand to see who's been there, but I am assuming there's a certain amount of knowledge about Acres. So I'll just give you a brief little intro. Acres has been around in Duvall now for over 20 years, which for a small nonprofit is epic in and of itself. We were founded on the belief that if a homeless mom is ready to make life change, she should have a safe place to do it. And I actually had a chance to meet our founder when I first started. I've been there just almost 4 years. And I wanted to just ask her, why did you start Acres? What were you doing? And she was one of those people, she said for her it was just simple. She just didn't think homeless moms should raise their kids on the street or in cars. Can't really argue with that. And for her it was as simple as that. But some of you might know that over our 20-year history we've had some good seasons and we've had some hard seasons. some ups and downs. But I do want to share with you that over the last 4 years, we have been experiencing this amazing amount of growth and stability. Our resident outcomes right now far exceed industry standards, and that actually tells you a lot about your city. We have come to understand who we serve best. So when I first started 4 years ago, it was kind of like, if you're a homeless woman and we have a spot, come on in. But we started to figure out over time that we actually don't work for every homeless woman. There are some folks that our program's not great for, and then there are others for whom our program is really helpful. And so over time, we've really focused in on who we're most helpful for. And some of the reasons why is we have a lot of structure. So if you know much about ACRES, you know there's curfew, there's drug testing, there's chores. It's an intense program. We're not a shelter, so we really are looking for those moms who are serious about doing the hard work of making life change. And so that's who we focus on. Sort of a typical resident at ACRES now would be she's typically a young mom. Most of their stories involve her own childhood in and out of the foster system. It's pretty typical, and in many cases it's 2 and 3 generations of that. And this young mom has gotten to a point, something kind of cool happens when someone who's been raised in poverty has a child. And all of us, when we have a child, there's this desire to give that child a different life, or a good life, the best life that we possibly can. And that moment in time in a woman's life is where ACRES really wants to jump in. Because it's also really hard if you've been 2 and 3 generations of poverty and addiction and abuse. You may want a different life for your child, but it's kind of, a lot of our moms will sort of talk about how they sort of instinctively know they don't have the tools they need. And so it's a bit hopeless. And that's the mom that we come behind. And that's the mom that we serve at ACRES. And just to give you an example of the stability that we've seen over the last few years, right now, I added it up again this morning, our average stay is 1.5 years of the women that are there right now. That is far above industry standard. It's typically less than a year that a woman will be or a man will be in transitional housing. So they're staying longer, that's good, that's very good. Our longest resident right now has been at ACRES for 2.4 years. And she actually is just finishing a medical transcriptionist program. And so she's just ready to graduate and have that livable wage, which is so essential to stability. Our shortest stay is 3.5 months. And actually this gal, she just had her baby 6 weeks ago. And that child is the first in 3 generations of their family to be raised by her mom. Typically it would be like the grandma because the mom was using or in a violent home. But the gal is being raised by her mom in a safe home who is not using substances and it's not violent. So that's pretty cool. We're really excited about that. We're also part of a tiny minority of agencies that track our residents post-graduation. So a big thing for us is stability for our families. And we know that even when you make big life change, I mean, for any one of us, when we're trying to change a bad habit or learn something new, you can have moments when you get setbacks. And so we're committed to, when they graduate, we stay in relationship with them and support them through whatever setbacks may come along the way. Another cool thing is, and again, this speaks to your city. Our support both in donations and volunteer hours has more than doubled in the last 4 years. I added that up this morning, our volunteer hours, to see where we're at year to date. We're at over 5,000 hours. And that's up from 3,800 total hours for the whole of 2016. So that says a lot, and that's really important to our success. It's really important for our women. So just a few brief things that I think this growth indicates for our discussion. First, obviously, I think most of you probably know, you hear about homelessness a lot on the news. The need is greater than ever. Homeless moms and kids make up more than half of the homeless population in our state. And that is actually something I didn't know before I started here. As more than half of our homeless in our state are moms and kids. They are the most vulnerable and the least served. For the first 6 months of this year, Acres of Diamonds received well over 600 calls for housing. We processed 100 applications, and we had 4 openings. So that was tough. The other thing it shows us is, I'm really excited that what's happening at Acres is working. 100% of the moms and kids we served in the last 2 years are still safe. That's huge. and 85% are housed. That's also huge. And 90% of the moms who were struggling with addiction, not all of them are, but of those that were, they're still clean and sober. That's amazing. So, but then the thing that I think our growth shows, and that's most important for a conversation I hope we can begin, is it really shows that the community of Duvall has embraced our families and our mission. And honestly, for me, that has been moving. I can't believe, it's like Val and I were talking before we came here, it's like every day someone is knocking on our door. And they're coming because they care about homeless moms and kids, and they're coming because of the heart that people have in this city. And I just want to say to you guys, good job. Like, this city has an incredible heart. And even though I'm on the Duvall Community Discussion Board, so I know drama happens, but drama happens because people are passionate and people care. And you want a city that cares, and you have a city that cares. You can tell a lot about a city by the way it treats its most vulnerable, and your city's really special. Our city's really special. So I just want to let you know that. Most of our staff is from the Valley, you might guess that. So even as you grow, too, thinking about how we would be employing folks who would be living and working right here. The majority of our volunteers are from Duvall. And I was listening today, we have Eagle Scouts projects, gift drives, food drives, tutors, mentors, kid helpers, birthday party hosts, volunteers organizing zoo trips. And this is across all sectors, so it's church folks, business folks, neighbors. We even had two very brave souls raise $2,000 for us last week performing in drag at the Flavor Bistro. So it's all walks of life. And I love that. Just last week, we received calls from Ixtapa and Quiznos, this happens all the time, asking if our women would like to apply for work. Our women work at Safeway, Braithburn, Papa Murphy's, etc. Most of our community retailers donate towards our fundraising needs, and many rally around our families at Christmas. Christmas is a mind blower for me in terms of showing the heart of this city. Community members provide counseling at very low cost, nutrition classes, gym memberships, chiropractic appointments, JP Landscaping, I don't know if you know this, they maintain all of our grounds for free. They just come by and they keep our grounds looking beautiful. Our police officers joined our families for dinner this year, which was very healing for some of our families, so thank you. Our firefighters come every year and bring amazing gifts and let our kids walk around in their fire truck, which is epic for our kids. So it's wonderful. Duvall is definitely very good for acres. And that's really important because we believe that for our moms and kids, the thing that they need most is the ability to establish and maintain healthy relationships. So a lot of what we're working on with them is how they can become good neighbors, good employees, good renters, that you can count on them, good citizens. And while most of our families will not make their long-term home here in Duvall, that's just not a reality for most of them, they do learn about community here. And it's really significant and it's really special. And that's why our program's been so successful. So since we're in this place, we want to grow. It's definitely time. And I think there could be benefits both ways for that. And we have a plan you can see here for our campus. The first thing that we want to do is build a family rescue home, which is what you see right here. If you've been on our campus, you know that we have a community home. I sort of shared with people when I first started, I thought, oh, probably we won't have the community home for long because most places have more like the individual units. But the community home really is what's special about Acres, and it's how we contribute to the broader response to homelessness. So we're going to start by this building a family rescue home that will also include a licensed daycare that will be specifically for folks who have to use vouchers to access daycare. We've spoken with our neighbor at Braithburn, and she shared with us the challenge it is to be running a for-profit daycare and trying to handle some of the voucher issues, both financially, and then sometimes there's a set of special needs that come with those folks. Well, that's kind of our sport. So we will really cater specifically to that group, not only within our program, but also in the neighborhood and community, which I think will be a really wonderful thing. Once we've built the family rescue home, then we will turn around and renovate our old facilities, and if you've been on our property, you'll be happy to hear that. They are safe, they pass fire code, but they're not much to look at, and we certainly can make them more functional. So that will be our second phase. In terms of progress so far, we have raised over $2 million in funds and committed in-kind donations for the first phase, which is pretty exciting. And we will find out in December if we receive a grant for $720,000 that will go towards the renovations. So we're coming along with the fundraising, which has been very exciting. We hope to break ground this spring, thanks to some partnerships that we've developed, and hopefully in partnership with you guys. And I just wanted to name that, I know you all got our letter, and one of my concerns was that it might have come across a little bit like we wanted you to write us a big fat check. And I just want to say, we don't need you. If you want to write us a big fat check, sure, that'd be great. But it's really more, we want to start a conversation. You know, we got sticker shock when we saw the permit fees, of course. And I'd love to talk about if there's ways to reduce that. But what's really important to me, and I know to us as a leadership at Acres, is that that conversation be characterized by mutual goals. I've looked at your comprehensive plan. I'm one of those people that gets excited about comprehensive plans. And I got really excited because I could see places where we could work together. And because I would love to help you guys accomplish your goals too, because I believe that is the healthy place where we grow, when we're mutually accomplishing our goals. So that's about it. As I said, I think we're good for each other. Duvall has been good to Acres. Acres is good for Duvall. We want to make a difference for homeless families while helping grow the economy in Duvall and make it a city that people can continue to be proud of. So I sure appreciate your time. If you have, is there a Q&A or no?
Yeah, sure.
I brought people that are wiser than I on Q&A specific to the project.
Does council have any questions or comments for Janet or team?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Hi, Becky.
Did you get to purchase that piece of property that's adjacent to the building?
No, we have our eyes on it. We've spoken to the owners. I wonder if it might be being purchased right now by someone else. But if it were to come available and we were to have the funds for it, we would certainly be interested in it. But we're kind of holding that softly right now.
So this is going to be all on the property that's already there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, any other councilors or comments? Ms. Sargent?
I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me out for a tour and spending time showing me the facility and what the opportunities are in the future. I think it's pretty incredible what you've done in the last 4 years and how far the organization's come. And it's also still amazing how much need there